and that goes for all of us, is that people get scared before they get smart.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So the first thing that comes up is fear because it's change. Yeah. It's something different than what I'm used to. It's outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah. And the first time we did that, I mean, that was like a long time ago, right? 10, 15 years. The first time they did that, I can tell you I was terrified of feedback I was going to receive because I thought, like, I'm really driven. I drive people hard.
Oh, yeah.
People are going to say, like, oh my God, she's an absolute bitch and she's so hard or whatever. Yeah. I thought that's the feedback I would get. And I got back feedback that was very eye-opening for me.
Deze vodcast is powered by Innerspective Training and Top Coaching en
Unisound Studios.
Welkom bij de podcast Inspirerende Leiders van nu, editie Amplitie. En vandaag zijn dit mijn gasten.
These are my guests. Today, these are my guests. And the crowd is going wild. Yes, they do. Okay, welcome at a new episode of Plevier and the Inspiring Leaders, or Plevier and the Inspirerende Leiders. This time in English, because we've got some foreign guests here in the house. We welcome in our mansion
Kim Fuqua.
Kim Fuqua.
Shirley Tawari.
Yes. Which company do you work for?
Deloitte.
Deloitte. And you?
And I work for Microsoft.
Microsoft, very good. You're the only ones today in which we use the beautiful language of English. But, well, in the end, the main goal of our vodcast is to inspire people with role models. And these are two role models. We introduced ourselves to you in an informal conversation. And we already had some fun. And let's see if we can get that energy with the viewer and the listener at home. Okay, this podcast is about amplition, and that needs a little bit of explanation because amplition means that you're focusing upon working purpose, working happiness, and getting results done, but that in an inspirational manner. And normally when you do that, you enhance passionate work, vitality, core talent management, the way how you design work around that, and then great leadership. So we've got some working exercise or working forms which we're going to play with you guys.
Yep.
And they'll be introduced by a jingle and then a short explanation, and then it's just play the game and talk with each other because you don't know each other, right?
No.
Very
Never met.
So, how do you attract, engage, retain, and develop talent in the most inspirational manner? That's our question today. But we've got a few topics which are very great to focus upon. That is luminous
Leaders, yeah.
Luminous leadership, yeah. How do you create open doors for more diverse people? That's one topic. And the other one is also about inclusivity and diversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why this theme?
I think, so the theme of how do you make people feel more comfortable? Yeah. How do you create a diverse workforce?
Yeah.
I think it's because if you only did things with one type of individual or one type of person, you won't get a broad range of expertise, you won't get a broad range of perspectives. But the reason you need to make people feel comfortable is because they're only their best when they feel comfortable. So you only get the best out of people when they feel comfortable, when they feel included, when they feel part of the team, when they feel part of the family, I think.
Yeah. And normally most people think this is a great idea, but is it easy to get it started and to keep it maintained?
Maybe not necessarily if you're starting from scratch, right? Most companies now have already been on this journey for a long time.
Yeah.
my background, I come from South Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa has had, because they come from apartheid, so diversity and inclusion has been top of the agenda in boardrooms across government for 20, 30 years now, because they were trying to correct something that was already written in legislation, right, in terms of apartheid.
Yeah.
So most companies, so now for me, that's something that comes naturally. When I walk into a room, I look at the makeup of the people sitting around the boardroom. When I pick up a proposal document, I look at the makeup of people. But that doesn't necessarily come naturally to most people because it depends on your perspective and where you're coming from. So I think for people who have been working with something like that, it's a lot easier because you're used to working with different types of people who look different, people who sound different.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting easier now because people are more aware of it.
Yeah.
It's the one thing to attract diverse talent, but it's another thing to make sure that talent that's diverse in culture, race, age, whatever it is, feel comfortable and feel included. And that's the term of inclusivity and equity, right? So everybody has the same access.
Yeah, and every human being wants to be appreciated for who they really are. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in culture there are cultural differences, etc. But I think it's a basic need of every person to get that insight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also you perform at your best when you are able to be completely yourself, when you're able to dress how you feel comfortable, when you're able to speak how you feel comfortable, when you're able to contribute the ideas that come to you naturally on the basis of your own journey. And I think that
own journey is very important.
Yeah.
But what has your journey been? How did it look like?
So my professional journey has been very much shaped from my own background. You know, I grew up in a big family. I have 4 sisters, and you know, I come from I'm South African, but I have an Indian heritage. If you know anything about Indian people, you know, it's about a big community, right? So it's never an individual family on their own. It's always a big community, you know, because people are always together. So that very much shaped my own professional journey. But my professional journey, funnily enough, I'm with Deloitte now, but I started with Deloitte a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I have had, you know, some positions. I worked at another Big 4 in South Africa. But throughout my professional journey, it's always been important to me. I think back to when I was starting out. You know, I started my career in 1995. At that time, South Africa had just come out of
it's a very short period.
Yes, to come into democracy, right? And because it was the first election was 1994. And 1995, I started my career. So, of course, leadership within most companies at that time didn't look like how it looks now, right? Leadership at that time was very much white and very much male. I think back to when I felt comfortable. When did I, you know, in those times, even to speak out in a leadership meeting was a big deal, right? Because you're not used to that. You didn't grow up with that.
No.
So whenever I
and did you have to conquer something for that, or to learn something from that, or
I don't know. There's not a specific thing I can say that I had to teach myself or learn, but I think the biggest thing was around just, I think the more you practice, the more you feel comfortable, and I think in the manner in which you are, your competence gives you a little bit of confidence, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that, the more you just get more and more confident as you grow through.
As you grow.
As you grow through. So I try and make sure now that, and throughout my career, that I help people along, right?
Yeah.
And it's like lots of things, right? Lots of things, like you sit in a meeting and, you know, somebody younger in the team starts to speak up and say something, and you want to make sure that somebody more senior is not cutting them off or is not. So, it's little things that you can do as a senior leader to help people along their journey.
And this is recognizable for you, Kim, because you're talking about luminous leadership. That it's enlightening leadership, or what is it?
Absolutely. So
what is the term, luminous leadership?
And let me give a little bit more context.
And also give a little bit of context about your heritage.
I will.
Yeah,
I will. And I have questions for you later.
Yeah. That's the spirit.
But a little bit of context on the Luminous Leaders, because that is a company I founded to actually give voice to people who are underrepresented, and to make sure that their voices are lifted, heard, seen, and valued.
Oh yeah, that's important, because it's not only about heard or seen, but it's also giving validation
and validation.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's right. And so I believe, just as you believe, that is when people bring their best work. Yeah. And on top of that, I have to put this in there because I do a lot of study about the business case when it comes to inclusion and diversity, which I think people hear, but it doesn't land. And that business case is companies, Harvard Business Review, Deloitte, many companies, McKinsey have done the research, and 8 companies who are more inclusive are 8 times more likely to be successful.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Significant. Yeah.
It's significant. It shows up every time because, as you said.
What's the reason behind that figure?
I think you end up with groupthink when you have a lot of people who are homogeneous and who look alike and have similar backgrounds. It doesn't mean there's not some level of diversity there, but it's not enough to constantly see the blind spots, because if we're all kind of thinking the same way, have the same experiences, go in the same direction, everybody's like, yeah, that's how we should do it. You're missing that person or persons who may see something that's even better or may see something that could be a risk. So there's many things you missed when it comes to decision making in business if you're all kind of thinking in the same way. And let's face it, if we're from the same background, from the same area, look the same, have similar experiences, we typically make similar decisions.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I worked for an insurance company for a few years ago who they were willing to start up inclusivity and diversity program because they hadn't had one person who had a leadership role and a cultural background which was different than the Dutch one. So at the middle of the session, I said, this is easily fixable. It's easily fixable. Yeah, it's easily fixable. So just give one person with a different cultural background a position inside your management team. Mm-hmm. Start with that.
Yeah. Start small.
Yeah, start small. It's very easy.
Yeah. It is very easy.
But they were doing like...
Well, what I say about change, what I say about change for humans, and that goes for all of us, is that people get scared before they get smart.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So the first thing that comes up is fear because it's change. Yeah. It's something different than what I'm used to. It's outside of my comfort zone. But that's where the growth starts. Is outside of your comfort. That's where the growth starts. That's when the intelligence, the intellect starts. That's where you get better. Yeah. When you challenge yourself to do something different.
Hey, and Kim, you're from the United States, right?
I'm from the United States.
Originally? Yeah. Yes. And you're from South Africa?
Yes.
How is the cultural background opinion about mixing people? Like in the Netherlands, we're always talking about we're so diverse and we're so liberal, etc., etc. But we haven't had a female prime minister. We didn't have one, and still people who have a same cultural background, they live in the same areas where people live. So like the Muslims with the Muslims, the Turkish people with the Turkish people, the Suriname people with the Suriname. And now I'm exaggerating, but
by and large,
but if I look at the big picture, say, well, we can do this better.
Yeah.
And how's that in the United States?
I grew up in a very similar situation because coming from Chicago, it was, and it still is, as far as I know, one of the most segregated cities in the United States.
Yeah.
So that meant not just segregation on race, but also on culture.
Yeah.
You have Italian neighborhoods, you have Polish neighborhoods, that's how it was. And so, but when I was 13, my parents moved me to Naperville, which is a suburb of Chicago, only about 40 minutes from where I initially grew up until I was 13. But culturally, it was completely different. It was 99% white, less than 1% minority, any kind of minority.
And what kind of feeling do you get yourself living up in?
I think initially it was definitely a cultural shock. No doubt. I'm coming from a place where everybody looked like me, and then going to a place where I didn't look like anybody else, and they also recognized that. I had one of the first people I met was a young lady that was around the same age I was, and she said to me, "Oh, I know where you guys were able to move here because you're special Black people, and only special Black people could live here in Naperville." So
Gary, you're talking. Yeah. We're very special.
I'd like to know what is the definition of that special.
Yeah, that's what is. So that is like the definition, what they mean by it, and
When 13, how do you respond to that? I didn't really know how to respond. Now I understand. For her, what that meant is I'm not used to seeing people like you, and so the only reason you came here is because there is something different. There's something unique about your family to be able to make it here. When in reality, there wasn't. It was just that my family was willing to take the opportunity that was offered to them.
Nice. I had Ingrid tap in this morning, and she has she's writing a book called The Exceptionals.
I've seen it.
The Exceptionals. And it's about what you say, recognize the difference, evaluate it, and make it bond like it's everyone's, how do you say that? Connectivity. You connect with everyone who is different, and then you validate everyone's core talents inside that, and also the background. Because if you bring something in with a different kind of cultural elements, you get different perspective and insights, which are very nice for everyone.
Yeah, it makes it stronger, right?
Yeah. And how is that the same, because you grew up over there, and how is that for you, because you grew up in a community where everything is focused upon the community, but were they mixed, or were they
culturally mixed?
Yeah, culturally.
No. So when I grew up in South Africa during apartheid.
Yeah.
We had something called the Group Areas Act. I don't know if you know that, but it was in legislation in South Africa that if you were white, you could live in only certain areas. If you were Black, if you were Black, you could live in certain areas. They had a term, they still do have a term for a race in South Africa called colored, which is basically you're not Black, you're not white, you're mixed. And then they had a race called Indian. I was classified as Indian, which is people who came back. I know it's been a very long time since I'm talking about the Group Areas Act, but anyway.
Yeah.
So that, I can't remember when that was abolished, but throughout my growing up, so I grew up, I lived in an area for Indians. I mean, I remember being in school and going to places, seeing signs like blacks only or whites only, because it was legislation. I know you look like you're quite shocked, right?
Yeah, it's legislation, but but hey, I'm white, so I don't have any relation
on it?
No. I cannot not imagine how it feels. And in Holland they have like a song called Zwart-Wit, Black White.
Yes.
And he sings that everyone has the same color blood. And in former days, I did like event shows like the Soundmix show, etc., in which I sang and I did competitions, etc. And I sang that song all the time because I related already when I was young on that message.
Right, that everybody's blood is the...
But I'm still shocked that it's
well, yeah, because we're 99.999 something the same as humans.
Yeah.
It's only that 0.00001 that make us look different.
Yeah, the outside, right?
Yeah, outside different, but we're just humans. Yeah.
All right, we're going to do an exercise, and the exercise we're going to do is this one. It's called the which same things do you share? You don't know each other, but you may do a brain storm of 3 minutes to discover what are your similarities which you share with each other.
Okay. Well, I think the first thing is that we grew up in neighborhoods that were mainly the same cultural or ethnic makeup of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So this 3 minutes of sharing, is it professional or leadership or personal? Anything.
Anything,
right?
Anything.
Okay.
It's just to find out what are the similarities between, and we put you two guys together.
Okay.
But that was because it was handy. You were speaking English. But at the same time, you both have the same, like a luminous leadership, inclusivity, and you also have this. So, hey, it fits.
Okay.
Okay. So I've worked in corporate for...
And is there a difference between you as a human being and you as a leader? And you private and you as in working areas?
For me, no.
No, and with you, Kim?
Either.
Okay, I believe all three.
Kim is Kim.
Okay, so there's something else.
So there's something else we haven't got,
right? Okay.
Sure.
So what is the most important quality for you? For me, it's as a leader. For me, it's around empathy.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, nice. There's another one. Okay.
I would say empathy, but I would also say being able to understand situational awareness. Right?
Which
because
is part of empathy.
Yeah, it is a part of empathy, but I also think that it's knowing when those certain qualities should come out. When empathy, how it should be displayed. Because empathy can be displayed in different ways, right? And shown in different ways. So, but yeah, we had that in common. How long have you worked? You said at Deloitte, you've worked there since 1995?
No. I've moved around, but most of my career has been in consulting. I had a stint for 2 years somewhere back as a CFO a long time ago. But other than that, mostly in consulting. And you in corporate, right?
Yeah, well, in big tech.
Oh, in big tech.
So yeah, I worked for Microsoft for 28. But it sounds like you left Deloitte and then you did some other things.
Yeah, and then I moved
and then
back
you
down.
came back. Yeah. Same thing for me. I left Microsoft in 2007 and then came back in 2008. So that's something else we have in common.
And how long have you been in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands for 6 years.
Okay.
So yourself?
Just short of 4.
Okay, yeah, so that's a little bit different, but less than 10 years. That's what we have in common.
Sure, yes.
And spreek je Nederlands?
No, not much, but in South Africa, you had to learn Afrikaans as until matric as a subject. So Afrikaans is like a dialect of
Dutch.
Dutch.
Yeah.
So if I read something, I can make out the words, but when people speak Dutch, the accent and the pronunciation is different, so it's hard.
Yeah.
And how about you?
Ja, ik spreek een beetje Nederlands. Huh?
Oh, wow.
Niet makkelijk voor mij.
Wow.
Maar ik blijf proberen. Yeah, so I keep trying.
Yeah. I got that one, yeah. Okay.
But it's also what I see also as a similarity is that you're both questioning.
Yeah.
You're not stating, you're questioning things. So there's a lot of questioning going on, but you're not stating it, but questioning, and you're very good in communicating both. Yeah, very easy.
So I have another question for you, and it really has to do, professionally. You mentor people?
Yes.
How many people do you mentor? Do you know right now? And if you're like me, I don't even remember how many.
Yeah. I can't remember now. I can't tell you, but inside Deloitte and outside of Deloitte.
Yeah, myself too.
Yeah.
And do you believe also, or do you think at this point, because you're a senior leader like myself, also continuing to be mentored and having your own kind of personal board of directors, if you will? Do you believe in having that?
Yeah, you mean mentoring for myself?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, at Deloitte, we have a program called reverse mentoring.
Yeah,
Which
me
is,
too. I also have a reverse, a younger person from earlier in career.
correct.
Yeah,
Earlier in career, which is quite fascinating, actually. We just finished off a 6-month program with it, and it's quite fascinating what you learn about our younger talent.
Yes.
Because it is different, right? So different generation. There are things that are very different. It's also a different culture.
Yeah. I even think the language sometimes they use is different in how they talk about things.
I attended some leadership talk a long time ago, and the speaker was saying that why do we look at our careers as professional leaders different to how sports players look at theirs? They always have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we think that our profession is different, that you don't need a coach?
That's right.
They have a coach for
Even
as long as they performing, right? For as long as they're participating in whatever sport or team events they're doing. And this is us. We're still performing. We're still participating. We're still working. So why don't we have that coach on an ongoing basis? Because everything changes.
That's right. Constantly.
I have a business coach and a mentor every year.
Wow.
And every year...
You choose a different one? Yeah.
I change. Sometimes a little bit longer. Like this year I have Francisca, she's 74. And she's a psychologist and she's very good. She can show me things which no one other has ever shown me, like real wisdom. Mm-hmm. So it's nice. And I also have a business coach because, you have to develop and the world is changing. Absolutely. Sometimes you don't know how and you need help.
Yep. Yes. And to take that back to inclusion and diversity, I think that's another way, at least for me, that I've used to drive that in my own career, as well as other people's careers. So one of the reasons that I'm here in the Netherlands is because I had a global network of senior leaders, of corporate VPs and general managers, and you name it. And I told them what I wanted to do. I told them that I want to live and work in a country other than my native United States. And then they became my sponsors.
Nice.
And found a leadership position here in the Netherlands at Microsoft that would fit my qualifications, my experience and skills, and also allow me to grow. And I think that...
And that word, growth?
Growth is very important.
That's also with you, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very nice. So if you sum it up, it's like you grew up in some identical cultural differences areas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Different countries, but
similar.
Yeah, similar. Kim is Kim, Shirley is Shirley. You're empathetic or empathy.
Yeah, empathy.
You understand situational awareness, how that works, and when and how it should be displayed. You're both into growth. Growing, and you use mentoring and reverse mentoring for it to get yourself in transition and development, maybe in transformation. Both left the company and a corporate company and returned.
Yes.
4 to 6 years experience in the Netherlands, right?
You take good notes, Wouter.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Without AI too, you do.
But AI is running. My AI friend is running, and he's really remarkable, actually. So you'll hear him. Yeah.
He's not a she?
Yeah. No, I think it's it. It's it. Yeah. But we can give it a name. Do you want to call it Shirley? No. Okay. Both fascinated about people and what you can learn to grow, and also to help other people grow, like young talents. Both use great language for it, still performing. You use the development for your own career, but also to get inclusivity and diversity done.
Yes.
And you use sponsors, and you're still performing. You're still doing it.
Yeah.
following
Every day, it's required. As you work for a Deloitte and a Microsoft.
So is that what the area of that corporate companies need to? There's a lot of things possible, but you need to show the urge that you're willing to grow.
Yeah, I think so. But I think you have to show it, right? But I think for me, it's also my nature. I can get bored easily. So I need to be doing things. Do you? Or I need something.
Very much. So I think at Microsoft.
So that's also.
Yeah, that's
so you
something
get bored if you don't do anything.
Yeah, I probably have had something like 10 roles at least in the almost 30 years I've worked for Microsoft. So that's one of the reasons I've worked for them for so long, because I have the flexibility to do different things, because I do get bored.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Hey, we're going to the next work form. When Corona started, my wife told me, "Well, all the training companies they're closing their doors, and well, you have like a really big online community, so you can sell your training." I said, "Well, I could do that, but it's not what I'm going to do, because normally I wouldn't do that either." So I wrote a book called Smart Slim, which means you have to be sympathetic, listening, inspiring, empowering to you and other people's. So what I did a masterclass on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for companies and individuals to get them positive and to get them online, how they could work online, how they could use Zoom, how they could inspire people from a distance, financial management, etc. So in the third week, I thought I need a song, and you know, I'm a musician like you, so I created the Song of Hope. But I didn't like the lyrics because it was flat and too simple. So we sent it out to Ingrid Schwartz. She was living in London, and she wrote a song for the people with directions of me, put something about nature in it, etc. And then we got it back and we went, oh, this is it. And then we were heading to get a single done, and I started crowdfunding. And we assembled €90,837.
Wow.
And we made a video clip and a song with 43 people, which went out to 170,000 lonely people. And it was on the radio within one day on Radio 5 and Radio 2, and that was the Song for the People. So, but that's a nice story, because it was all about diversity, inclusivity, about using your talent, get people inspired. It was similar to...
So loneliness was such a big issue. It still is, but it really was during COVID.
So normally I sing the song and I also tell the story and why I started that, etc. But this exercise is about you. What is your story upon the moment you are right now? What are the marker points that this has created my way of leading people and my development as a human being?
So what's the story that got me to the point where I am right now?
Precise. Yeah.
Starts with my parents. I have to start there. I had parents that were active in the civil rights movement in the U.S.
Yeah.
Then I'll take it to where I just talked about how we moved from Chicago to Naperville, and that culture shock, but eventually that cultural understanding and being able to form who I was with what I'd learned growing up in Chicago, and also the opportunity I had to live in Naperville because it was an upscale area with great schooling. And then the next step in my story was university. I went to University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and that was an eye-opening experience. In the U.S., you live on campus away from your parents.
Is that always the way people do it, or
standard? Not everybody does that, but yeah, you know, most middle-class families, when they send their children to university, you go to campus, and you stay on campus and learn. And it's to me, it's a great time because you're kind of in between being a child and being an adult.
Yeah.
It's very much the in-between years. So I can still pick up the phone and call mom and dad. I need some money. But I have to take care of myself, you know.
My daughters are calling this.
They're doing this. So you know. Yeah. And then the next step in my career was I decided I wanted to live back in the South because my parents had raised us, even though they came from Alabama.
Yeah.
They raised us in the North. But I felt, I don't know, some type of affinity to being in the South. But I didn't want to go to Alabama. That was too far south. So I went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And that's where I started my career at Microsoft. Yeah. And I didn't even plan on working in technology. I was going to be in public relations and media.
Oh.
More like yourself, Wouter. And then I was looking for a job, but I needed to make some money in the meantime. So I signed up for a temporary role and they assigned me to Microsoft. I became the recruiting assistant, just doing administrative work. And the recruiter noticed me, how I handled myself, how I communicated, you know, my ability to structure, you know, the work when it comes to recruiting, because we had a lot of people that we were hiring at that time. And she said, you need to work for us. So I obtained a sponsor and my first job was in sales at Microsoft in 1997. That was my first role. And then went from there into contract negotiation and, you know, managing larger deals with public sector, all of these different states that were my customers. And then I got the opportunity to travel all over Canada and South America. So I've been to all up total, I've been to like, I don't know, 40 countries. But in South America, I went to Chile and Peru and Brazil and Colombia. And
so
that really
a lot of different cultures.
So many different cultures. And, you know, in your head, you think, you know, South America, they all, for the most part, except for Brazil, they speak Spanish, but very different. What was really funny was that you would go to these different countries that were right next to each other, and they all have empanadas. But every empanada is different. And so as soon as you would go to the Microsoft office, they'd be like, hey, have you tried our empanadas? And I'd be like, no, but I've been to the one in Argentina. They're like, no. Argentina doesn't. Those aren't really empanadas. It's the ones in Chile that are the best.
And they went like...
So, yeah, they were very, but that I caught the bug, and that's when I wanted to actually live and work somewhere else. And in the meantime, personally, I did have some challenges. I was married for 25 years. During that time, we had 2 kids, my daughter, who's 27, and my son, who passed away at 14. So that also was an impact on my life. Yeah, for sure, a huge impact.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I, like I said, I contacted the senior leaders in my network and got the opportunity. I had to interview 5 times, even after working for Microsoft for 22 years. So this was a very senior position. And then I ended up being relocated here, Microsoft.
Hey, and Kim, and because there were a lot of people who sponsored you and saw your talent. Which core talents did you already have? And what did you develop while getting in the position you're at right now? What did you learn?
So I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in high school in the U.S., and this is when you're about 16 or 17, I was in physics class because I was on, I think, what you guys would call HVA or the higher end of. I was in physics, and I wasn't doing that well academically in physics. And they had this parent-teacher conference. And my physics teacher said to my parents, yeah, you know, she's a smart young lady, but she's just a social butterfly. She's always going around talking to people. So I say that to say that actually paid off for me. When I went in to work for Microsoft, my ability to connect to people, to really talk and listen. So I think that's something that sometimes leaders discount, the ability to truly listen, and not just listen, you know, to hear, because a lot of times we listen and we have all these other things going on in our mind, but to really listen to understand. And to first understand and then be understood. So putting that other person first. So that's a skill I think for me came naturally. I'm not going to say it was innate, but somewhere along the line that became a natural skill for me.
And it could also be that you're not only listening, getting great in listening and validating what people say, but also experience what they exactly mean, or how does it feel when someone pronounces or says something to you?
Yeah, and you can figure it out. You can translate.
Yeah.
I think that was another reason I was so successful in the work I did in South America, because I didn't speak Spanish.
No.
I still don't speak Spanish.
No.
But I had the ability, because of course everybody at Microsoft had to speak some level of English, obviously, but I had the ability to understand, because they were speaking English, but maybe not always fluent English.
Yeah.
But I had the ability to really understand what they were trying to communicate.
Yeah.
And hear what they were not
And
saying.
hear what they weren't.
And hear what they're not. Exactly, Shirley. Yeah. I think listening, fair witness listening is the most hard part of being human, because you always have opinions and thoughts about things, but to be vividly present and match with someone and be connected with someone, that's a whole different ballgame. Hey, Shirley, thank you very much, Kim. And Shirley, with you, what's your story, and what did you develop, and what did you already have as a core talent?
I think so. I said earlier, I grew up in South Africa, and in a family with 4 sisters.
Yeah.
And also, really close to my parents, on a farm. And I think that, the way you grow up in your family, so I did think I just naturally developed, caring for people.
Yeah.
From that, because you're in a house full of girls, and then you have an extended family, and everybody, people genuinely worry about other people, and they care about other people. And I think somewhere in high school, because I used to get good grades, and when you got good grades, in our community, and then if you went to study, they just expected that you were going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a doctor. That was it. Right? There was no such an this is a lawyer or doctor, just a lawyer or a doctor. And I remember when I was, I don't know, must have been matric or something, and I told my parents I'm going to go to university to study to be a chartered accountant. They had no idea what that was. We still have this joke in my family with my parents that, they couldn't even say the word, chartered accountant properly. Like, what is this? My grandmother would say. Anyway, but I think credit to my parents, they supported that. They were like, okay, we don't know what it is, but we have enough faith in you that it's going to work out. And went to university. Of course, the first time I went to an all-Indian school when I was in high school. So I went to university, and then it was like all races, because there were few universities.
Yeah.
My first job was with Deloitte. And in my first 3 years of traineeship in Deloitte, so because I grew up in a family like that, I was used to saying things like that, for me, that like just speaking my mind. And in my first 3 years of being in my traineeship at Deloitte, it was like customary that at the end of your 3rd year, you went on a secondment, like to the US or whatever.
Yeah.
When I was at the end of my 2nd year, I was saying, like, why can't I go as a 2nd year? And somebody, I don't know, one of the managers or one of the partners said, well, you can phone up the partner who's responsible for human capital and ask him. And I don't think he meant it seriously that I should phone him up, but I did.
Yeah.
I think I phoned him up, and I said, I'd like to go on secondment to the US, whatever. Anyway, he took my call, and then he was like, okay, we'll look into it. And maybe a few days later, I got a call from somebody in that division saying, okay, do you still want to go? Because we have an opening and we need one more person. And I went at the end of my 2nd year, which was like unusual. I spent about 5 months in the US on secondment. Then I went again at my 3rd year. And then since then, because that taught me something, right? If you want something, you got to ask for it.
Yeah.
And you have got to, and if you're given the opportunity, you got to make the most of it.
Yeah, and you have 2 supporting activities or core talents inside of you, like you're impatient, ambitious.
Yeah.
And you're not going to waste, and also you have like I can imagine a mindset that you're thinking outside of the box. They say it 3 years. Why go ahead?
6 years. That's right. And then so I finished my traineeship, but I stayed on with Deloitte, and then somewhere in that time, I met my husband. I'm still married for 27 years now. I then joined like a consulting team within South Africa at some point. I was a partner at EY. Yeah. And then I have a daughter now who is 23. Mm-hmm. She's with us in the Netherlands. I think I also realized, because when my daughter was in high school, when she started high school, I was a partner at EY then. And I realized, okay, I wanted to also be closer to her. And as a partner, traveling a lot, whatever, I thought, okay, maybe it's time that I give that up. So then I started my own business, also consulting. And that allowed me also to have the flexibility to, spend time with my daughter. But I also needed a meaningful career still. It wasn't that I was willing to give that up. So I just made those things work.
All right.
And then...
So you're very proactive in the way you approach things, also practical, because you say, I want to live close by with my daughter. So this is not handy, this is handy. So let's do that.
I have to say that, but also I think I could see that maybe I was spending too much time away from home. Maybe I was traveling too much, and I didn't want to lose that relationship with my daughter. Right. So I thought, that was for me more important. Also coming from a family where family is really important. And then maybe just over 4 years ago, we decided, okay, maybe it's time to relocate. And I sort of reached out to my network of people that I knew, that I had worked
with. A big network like him.
And somebody who I had worked with me in EY, she lives in the Netherlands. She said, why don't you come to Amsterdam? Initially, that was not even on my list. I was thinking about it. And then I met the managing partner for risk advisory for Deloitte, and I talked with him, and we really connected nicely. And then it was like super quick. I met a few other partners, and then suddenly I had a contract, and we had a visa, and then like we literally it was very, very quick, and then we arrived here. And since I joined Deloitte here, I have done a lot of different things that I hadn't done before. So now I lead the work that we do around ESG controls. That's not something I did back in my time in South Africa, but I did a lot of financial controls, financial reporting, and consulting there. And then I think throughout my, because I'm also quite results oriented. So I think sometimes people make a mistake and they think that if you lead with empathy, that means that you don't focus on results, which is absolutely incorrect, because for me, I'm very results oriented. I make sure that even people that I work with, I want to make sure that if we commit to a client that we're going to do something, that we are going to do it.
So you stick to the agreement you had as an ambition.
Yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, and you get paid a salary to do a job. I get paid a salary to do a job. Clients pay us to do a job. We must make sure that we deliver it to the highest quality. And I was very focused throughout my time in my career, making sure that I focused on that. I never realized. It's recently, right? In the last few years, we talk about, what type of leader are you, or anything like that. Back in my time in South Africa, especially in EY, at some point they introduced this 360-degree feedback. And the first time we did that, that was like a long time ago, right? 10, 15 years. The first time they did that, I can tell you I was terrified of feedback I was going to receive because I thought, I'm really driven. I drive people hard. People are going to say, I don't want to swear on the set, right? But people are going to say, oh my God, she's an absolute bitch and she's so hard or whatever. I thought that's the feedback I would get. And I got back feedback that was very eye-opening for me, because a lot of people said she really understands. And one of the senior managers I was working with said that every time I talk to, she always asks, like, because she knows I'm a single father, like, how are your kids, what are happening, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not something I made a decision to do.
No.
It's just something that comes naturally to me because I genuinely care about people.
Yeah.
But caring about people doesn't mean that I'm going to be soft on the work that we do.
No, you also want to get the job done and get results. And so, and
they go together.
Nice. And they go together.
Because you also want to make sure that they are bringing their best work and that they are unlocking all the potential that they have.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Hey, as a closure, what's the message you want to spread out to people who are listening or viewing our show? What is your message you want to give to people? If you're a leader or if you want to be a good leader, then this is my best advice for you. You may.
Yeah, I would say, it's probably what I was just saying. So maybe there's two things is you absolutely have to be yourself. Because people will see your teams, your talent. When you're being outside of your normal self, they can see that.
Yeah.
And that's superficial and it'll come across. And you won't have trusted people if you do that. So you absolutely have to be yourself.
Okay.
And if you genuinely care about people, not just the results, because the results are important. I just said that, right? Yeah. For me, they're super important. We got to deliver what we say. But if you genuinely care about the people that work with you, their development, what's going on in their lives, and if they see that and they feel that, they will be motivated to give you the results.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's for me maybe two things.
Yeah, nice. And you, Kim?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things you can relate to, eh?
Absolutely. But one of the big things is don't be afraid to take risk. And if you make a mistake, admit to that mistake and learn from it.
Nice one.
I think about Nelson Mandela. At least this is attributed to him, that he said he never loses. He either wins or he learns. And I've had that, even though I didn't know that saying for a long time, that is the way I approach life, that I never lose. I'm going to learn one way or another. So keep learning, unlearn, relearn, keep learning and growing, because as a leader, you can't expect the people under you to improve and develop unless you're also doing it yourself.
100%.
Yeah. What's your age?
I'm 52.
And you?
56.
Oh yeah, also in the 50s.
Say that out aloud.
Yeah, say that out.
It's okay, because you look great.
If you would give out because you're in life phase 7, which means I'm going to do something for the world. That's always one sentence. This is the sentence for this period, like from 52 till 69.
Yeah.
You're going to do something. My mentor, she said, you developed a lot of things, and now it's time to share your wisdom. So I'm starting to think, well, okay, what am I going to share? What am I going to do? Who am I going to connect, etc. It's in my process. Do you have something like that as well?
Absolutely, and it's own your narrative. Be able to speak up and tell your story.
Okay, great.
I want to give that to people. That's part of my Luminous leaders, to teach people.
I like that term, luminous
leadership.
Yeah.
And that's to shed light on your story so that you can also share it with other people, motivate, inspire, and help people to grow.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great. And for you?
If I understood your question, if money was no object, right? If I didn't have to work, what is it that I would want to do?
I love that question, because I think there's a basic financial basis you need to
do something. Yeah,
do something.
You do.
But if that's managed,
taken care of,
then more money isn't the result for more happiness.
No, indeed.
Yeah, no.
So if, I don't know, I won the lottery and money was no object, I didn't have to worry about that. What is it that I would do good for the world? For me, it would be helping teenage high school girls that are pregnant.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think that's a
unmarried or unpartnered.
That's a big issue in South Africa, certainly, many countries in Africa, but also many developing countries. That's a big issue on, pregnant teenagers. That's what I would, that's where I would focus my energy on helping them, education, helping community.
Great.
Making a better
not letting that hold them back.
Yeah, that's nice. That's also illuminated leadership.
It sure is.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Hey, we're at the end of the vodcast, and this vodcast brings together two powerful voices, also with a different country background, or you're coming from South Africa and you're coming from the United States. But your lives show how culture, adversity, and curiosity shape meaningful leadership. Your journey, Kim, from Chicago to a predominantly white suburb and later across the world with Microsoft, taught you that connection begins with truly listening and valuing every perspective. And surely your upbringing during apartheid and your rise with Deloitte revealed that authenticity, courage, and real care for people create the foundation for trust and performance. I think you both underline a clear message in diverse and inclusive teams. And you don't just feel better, you think if they feel better, they perform better. So make sure that they get insight on what their core talents is and what their personality is and how we can grow together as a more collective. When every voice is heard, blind spots shrink and innovations grow. And your shared insights reinforce modern leadership essentials like make space for quieter voices, listen to understand, lead with authenticity and high expectations. They may be inside, because that's also important. Use mentoring and sponsorship to lift others. And in the end, your stories merge into a powerful invitation to grow as a collective, but also as a leader.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Good summary.
Yeah, it is a
summary. All right. Thank you much for coming to our studio and for the conversation and our connection. For you guys who are listening and watching the show, keep watching Plevier and Inspiring Leadership. There's more to come, but for now, share your talents, live with passion, and do it together. With best regards, Wouter Plevier.